It's time for the final match of the round of 16 here for solos. I'm Wolf, joined by State again, of course, and we're going to decide our final 4 players to go to the grand finals tonight.
Yeah, man, it's getting excited. We're getting to the top, the cream of the crop right here. This is one of the best groups that we've had in a while here in the solo match portion of the KDL preseason. It should be very competitive as we have a quick recap of the schedule here. We fought through as we start with 32 players. We are now down to 12. 8, 12, 12. 4 of those will be eliminated, right. Then we'll have 8. God, I'm never doing math on air again. Jesus.
So the beginning of the tournament was single elimination in terms of the groups, but then we moved into a double elimination format.
Right.
And these are the remaining players who lost in the winners matchup, of course, dropping down against those who advanced earlier. So this is going to be a final matchup here to decide which one of these, or which 4 of these, rather, players are going to move on to the finals. We do, of course, already have Insu, Nak, Cool, and Hyunsu qualifying.
Yeah, so those are the 4 finalists that we have already, and it's a pretty stacked lineup here in the round of 16 final match, man. I mean, just looking at the list right now, World really stands out to me, NEAL stands out to me. Looking at this, I think he has 5 different tracks. I mean, there's so many Live Sandbox jerseys, it's hard to tell, but I think he has 5 tracks here.
And Live Sandbox
records.
So Live Sandbox overall have 7 total.
Yeah.
As Cool also picked up 2 in his tear through his group, but notice NEAL also he was having a good time, and he got 3 new records in that final performance. So dropping down early, fighting his way here, and this is very uncharacteristic for NEAL, by the way. Almost always goes straight to the finals. Not this time, however.
Yeah, didn't make it to the finals. Actually lost out by 1 point during that qualifying match, so was not able to send it, but I feel like he's the favorite to advance from this group along with a couple of these other players. Because, yeah, excuse me, is this the round of 16 match too? Are you sure? Are you sure about this one? Because actually 7 of these 8 players, all those on the left side of your screen, they were in the same group in the round of 16 match too. And now here we are again in the final match of the round of 16. World, the odd man out, was the only one that played from match 1, is going to be joining them as yeah, we're going to be continuing on here, and it's just a stacked lineup, dude. I don't know who's going to make it from this group. I think that NEAL is almost definitely a shoo-in, I mean, especially given the performance of Live Sandbox today, but it's so hard to say. It is so competitive here at the top.
At least NEAL, his team is going to the finals one way or the other in terms of the team finals, but in terms of solo, you know, one of our mainstays, we'll see if he can do it. World having a bit of a rougher performance in his last group to end up here. Definitely one of our best players in terms of track finishes and records that have been set. You can see his average points nearly 5 per track, but we'll see if he can perform tonight, because that consistency hasn't always been there.
Yeah, World had a bit of a poor start there in the winners match, and unfortunately his comeback, it got him close, but not far enough to qualify there for the grand finals, as he'll try to do it today. And now wearing the black stripes, it will be Speed from Team Sensation.
8 first place finishes. He is second in that, and he is the one who knocked NEAL out of that group with that amazing comeback where he won it when he needed it most and actually knocked NEAL out. So a bit of a revenge opportunity here for NEAL now.
Yeah, 1 point. 1 point separated Speed and NEAL. All right, so JiMin here in the red stripes, living in the era of Hyunsu, he says. He hopes to join some of his buddies here in the grand finals.
Yeah.
7th place in the winners match of the round of 16, averaging about 4 points per track.
He wrote that before Hyunsu's performance, of course, in the ace match as well. He saw the future.
Yeah. Ding as well. If I'm not mistaken, the only remaining player here for Reboot. And yeah, you're actually calling it out. Load, Kosu, Lining, and Pure. You guys watching, watch me make it to the grand finals, as I'm sure they're home cheering for him right now if they're not here watching as well.
Yeah, they might be here. Speaking of being here as a Ding fan right there. So hoping to have him arrive in the grand finals. This here's NEAL. Play safely. It feels like he's telling himself to slow down. He's taken a lot of risks. He has been very aggressive, but has regretted those choices quite a bit. He has an amazing set of accomplishments, but did fall short just by 1 point.
Yeah,
to find himself here.
Highest in average score here. Has the most first place finishes of anybody here in the individual league. Also best record overall. NEAL's just a force to be reckoned with. And SUNGBIN as well. Just one of those racers that is so good. Got 2nd place in his losers match. implemented a bit of a snowball strategy there where he was never really gunning for first place that often. He kind of did what Neil said in his thing where he wants to play safe, where that was SUNGBIN's MO. You know, he got a lot of second place finishes, third place finishes, fourth place finishes, and just racked up those points, which brought him here. Perfect,
I think, is one of the odd players out here. He's a 7th seed going into this one, and maybe his average points are quite low. You see the stats chosen for him as collision. He's kind of sneaked into this this final match, but I think if he, as one of the dark horses, performs well tonight here, you know, maybe he pulls something off. And we know he's a very well-rounded player. I think he's a team league player more than a solo player, but hey, maybe he pulls something cool off here and is able to. I think the same, of course, could be said of Spell.
Yeah, it's Spell, 4th place, last seed here in the match, but there's a young player. I mean, trust his skills. He thinks he's going to make it to the finals no matter what. That's a very colorful name banner that he's got right there. I like that one for the orange stripes. I'm wondering whether he can turn it around. He had a really poor start into the round of 16 as some of his family here.
Smells like finals.
Nimsinanda.
Smells like a finals. I don't know. I kind of got a whiff of that myself, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if he performs well, as he's definitely not the favorite, but underdog stories do happen, State.
They do.
Those stories may begin right now on Glacier or Downslope.
Final match of the round of 16 solos will start here on Glacier Snowbound Slopes. 4 of these players will be eliminated from the tournament, and 4 will advance to the grand finals. Who will it be?
I kind of said it jokingly, but the underdog story for Spell has started off great so far. He has looked really good on this track in particular. It's not the first time we've seen him actually pull a big lead off on the first lap, but see if he can maintain it right now, as it is going to be a first 250 to decide the cutoff. If you're not familiar with solo, if you're more of a team league person, first person gets 50, that's where we draw the line.
Yep, and then let the rankings fall where they may. After that 50 points is clutched, as Neil able to take the lead from Spell coming down onto this slope. And Neil, last time he performed, I think it was with 5 different first place finishes that he actually closed his round out. Looking to start off strong again here in first place. One of the best individual racers in solo match that we've had in Kart Rider since he came to join the Korean scene, continuing to perform here in the KDL.
Yeah. World, the only one to really challenge him in that, taking 5 first places of his own, 5 out of the 6 tracks he played in his group, moving into the round of 16. And this is where things kind of reset here, of course, on Snowbound Slopes. After the ski lift is taken, Speed will actually be the first one out of the gate here. Spell close behind, and actually our 2 real big underdog players coming into this one are really starting off with a bang.
Yeah, Spell especially is impressing me right now on track number 1, as Neil falls to 4th place, going to try and build up that nitro gauge here on this downslope, as he has a lot to fight through. World, though, looking to catch the inside. Spell with a bit of collision there. World tries to capitalize. He's doing his best, finally able to eke into 2nd place now, taking some really tight turns. He wants to go for that first one, pick up 10 points, but Speed starting to pull away.
Yeah, World here really trying his best, but he's going to have to take some aggressive enters here if he wants to take first place. He's fighting for it now here as we move into this obstacle here in the central path, and now we're getting very close to the end right now.
Yep, some more nitro going to be gained here as we come down this slope. Neil closing the distance right now. It's spinning distance in first place. He's very close behind these guys, just outside drafting range. Now going to be drafting right now off of Speed. Is able to move into 2nd place. Will Neil be able to get first? He is leading the pack right now.
Speed trying to force his way through. Pushes World into the tree.
World with a really big collision. It's going to have him fall all the way back. And now it's just SUNGBIN and Neil here neck and neck. 100 meters left to go. Neil will consolidate. Hold on in that first place spot. He's going to pick up the first 10 points as he continues to ride the momentum from the losers match of the round of 16. Keep in mind, he picked up 5 first place finishes in that losers match. And here we are now in the final match of the round of 16. He picks up the first track.
One more on the board here for Neil, and that collision for World is one of the big standouts that really stings, as I believe Speed pushed him into the tree there, just trying to contest to actually get around him. But that one collision for World, who had a pretty much consistent top 3, top 4 throughout the entirety, drops down to 7th.
And Neil actually picks up another record here on Snowbound Slopes, which is his 6th record in solo match speed. He's the lead racer on 6 of these tracks. Just phenomenal stuff. And NEAL just always keeping his cool, calm and collected. See him closing his eyes, just focusing up, getting ready to go into the next map. Of course, NEAL being the victor of track number 1 will get to choose track number 2.
It would be, I feel, such a tragedy if we didn't see NEAL go to the finals, but he's already on track. But I think I'd say the same of World, a player who's been so critical for Guangdong in the team league, has been so consistent. 5 out of 6 of his first place finishes he picked up in the group earlier. But 0 points he picks up on the first track. Let's move into our second here, Desert, Ancient Aqueducts. Off we go, NEAL's selected track, a very difficult track here, one that we see usually at the later parts of matches, if at all. And there's a lot of tight turns. World pulling ahead.
Yeah, perfect with a little bit of imperfection. Got caught against the wall there, falls all the way into 8th place, and now it's World, NEAL, and the item ace JiMin contesting top 3 spots. Spell, though, this young upstart man, the underdog story, he's trying to close the distance.
Yep. And you can see that you could chain these slides together, these drifts between these turns here. It's one of the trickier parts of this. This is the easy part of the track where you get to the end here. It does narrow for a moment as you end the first lap. As you can see here, World, though, getting that edge. It's very difficult for him to be contested now as JiMin and NEAL hot on his heels here, trying to look for that draft. But his block is so good. NEAL says, oh, you two can fight each other and I'll take the lead. Thank you very much.
And NEAL from the outside was trying to get that first place position, instead going to work into second, and he'll be happy with that now. It's just him and World. JiMin going to try and close the distance by building up some more nitrous gauge. And yeah, something to keep in mind as we enter lap number 2 is once we get close to that finish line yet again, it is very difficult to actually pass there in those narrow passages. Yeah. You have to take some really tight lines. It's really just those turns before the finish line that gives you opportunities as we see these players masterfully navigate.
There's the second chain through the aqueduct there. That's why I spelled aqueduct. It's not really the aqueduct, but chain through
It's got water, man. That's an aqueduct.
Yeah.
What is this, ancient Rome? We don't need another architecture, dude.
But it chains it together well, and when it thins out to 3 here, it actually becomes a lot easier to show your real skills here on Ancient Aqueducts. But it's a much tighter race. It becomes a little more complicated. You have to avoid collisions. But these 3 players are basically playing perfectly here, and it looks like NEAL, last 400 is going to do the double. World trying to boost here into a draft, but JiMin blocks him, and NEAL's going to get the double.
Once again going to get the double, man. I mean, he was off to a fantastic start. The round of 16 losers, off to another start, round of 16 final match, and this is a guy that coming into today already led the KDL preseason solo match for most first places, and he just picked up 2 more tracks in first place.
It's insane. Picked up a record 2 in the first track, as you mentioned, and I mean, he's trying to make this a short night as he picks up now 20 points here.
Another new record.
Oh, this is a record too. Okay, well, 2 first places,
7.
2 records, 7 records in our track list.
We have 12 tracks in solo match speed.
He's playing
7.
blackout bingo with a track. He's like,
track.
I already got bingo. I got 1 row across. I got a diagonal. What if I just got the whole thing?
Behind all of this, we have a 3-way tie right now for 8th place. So while NEAL is certainly pulling away as the favorite here with 2 back-to-back first place finishes, it is very tight there in the middle. Keep in mind the cutoff is 4th place to qualify for the grand finals. The bottom 4 in this lobby, they are out of the solo match tournament. It is do or die for everybody right now.
Yeah, it is do or die. Mine Gold Rush is going to be our next track. We'll see if NEAL can go 3 for 3 first places here. 3 new records. Let's find out.
And here we go on Mine Gold Rush. NEAL so far perfect. Off to an early start here, building that nitro gauge. 8th place. Not what he wants, but I mean, it's NEAL we're talking about, Wolf. This guy's gonna close that distance quickly.
Mine Gold Rush is a very basic start to the track, so you don't see a lot of movement until you get about halfway through the lap, where you start to see some more of those aggressive turns and stuff like that. One of them coming up here right now, that first box here that you're gonna circumnavigate with this, I don't know what to call, twist here. And so now you're gonna see some movement. Speed pulls up into first place here, has a bit of a nitro advantage right now as Spell and he collide. JiMin sees an opportunity, is actually going to go for an aggressive inner. Not quite able to pass speed, but making it very competitive here as we move into this portal. World going to take the lower path.
Yeah, World's taking the lower path right now, and Spell in third place is in a really good position. Actually, eking his way into first here for just a moment as we start lap number 2, and he desperately needs it right now, sitting in 8th place with 0 points on the board in total. The cutoff right now is 8 to reach top 4, so if Spell's able to get a top 2 here, that's going to go a long way towards giving him a chance of making it to that finals, but I mean, it is so close here, Wolf. I mean, everybody is neck and neck.
Yeah, this is crazy, actually. All 8 racers, all visible on screen. That's how close this is right now. Spell sitting at 0 points as mentioned, but he has been so good at these first laps. Now we're in our final lap, of course, and we're moving into this very narrow section here where NEAL is going to hope to take advantage. Now, we move around this box right into the curve I was talking about. NEAL is actually going to have an opportunity here as we push into portal to actually take first.
And NEAL just very quietly has been working his way from 8th place into 3rd place here as he goes into first again! 200 meters out, how does he do it? We started this one off with NEAL in 8th place, and he continues to be perfect. Now 30 points in total on the board for NEAL. Behind that, Spell picking up some much needed points with 2nd place is going to raise his score above 0 and get closer to that top 4. But man, the story right now is just NEAL 3-0. I mean, if he does this 2 more tracks, he will perfect the round of 16 final match.
We haven't seen it yet. We have not seen a perfect this season. Now, this will not be a record broken this time around.
No, but also, I just want to note that NEAL already has the record.
He does not break his own, but his final push through there was actually beautifully played, and he risked a lot because he used his first nitro of his 2 early to actually try to pass JiMin there and avoid any potential collisions, and it worked out incredibly well as his teammates watch on. Hyunsu looking very happy after that win for team mode. He's hanging around, and look, I mean, right now, NEAL is the story, but if we zoom out and look at where the cutoff line is going to be, it's still incredibly close for these players. A lot of those players sitting at 8. We had 3 players, I believe, sitting at 8 in that final track. So it's getting very competitive down there. So while NEAL keeps winning, we'll have to take a look at the middle of the pack here as we move into Village Boom Hill Tunnel. Off we go once again. Right now, 8 is the cutoff line in terms of points right now. But everybody's keeping it competitive. Anyone could win, even if NEAL goes 5-0. The perfect solo group. It could happen. We'll have to keep an eye on, though, who is where. But this is where you're really going to differentiate yourself in this 4th round.
Especially Spell with that 2nd place finish there in the last track really put him in contention to contest top 4. As right now, it's only 2 points separating the 8th place player in this lobby with top 4. So 6 to 8 points is the difference as NEAL just continuing to play so well right now. He actually does have a bit of an unfortunate collision there. I mean, there's just so many cards that these collisions, they're inevitable, and somebody's going to get the worst end of the trade.
SUNGBIN here actually taking a pretty nice lead up with Perfect at the moment here. JiMin going to use his nitro early right now, expending it to try to actually close that gap and builds another one off the turn. So that's when you want to use that. As NEAL using some crazy dark tech, bouncing off the railing.
What a play there from NEAL, man. That's some hardcore stuff. It's actually Perfect there with a bad collision. Oh, not Perfect, excuse me. Another racer with a bad collision going to fall to the bottom of the pack.
I think it was SUNGBIN who fell back.
Oh, it might have been, yeah, now in 7th place. But NEAL's already made his way to 2nd.
300 meters. Can he pass him? Go 4 for 4.
I don't think so. JiMin's going to get 1st place in this one. NEAL, though, with another top 2, continuing to add to that point total. SUNGBIN with that unfortunate collision now in 8th place. And I mean, okay, so it's not going to be a 5-track finish here. We will go to at least a 6th track as somebody has finally stopped NEAL. The item ace, JiMin, getting on the board there with a win, but oh man, what a crazy run it has been so far for Live Sandbox today.
10 points for JiMin means he's going to jump up to 22. So he's now pretty firmly in 2nd. Speed picking up 0 points for this one. So he was previously in 3rd at 11. He's going to drop down a few points here as you can see, actually ties now with Ding and World. So
very close.
Now it's not guaranteed for JiMin, but it's almost guaranteed that he is going through. So it feels like now we kind of have 2 players locked up. Well, there are 6 players still in tight contention. Anybody could go through, and You know, it's amazing to watch NEAL just continue to dominate, do crazy off-the-rail stuff, but...
Literally off the rail.
Yeah. I just gotta say, like, how tense this is for players like Spell and Perfect, who came in as massive underdogs and are performing incredibly well tonight. No nerves for these players.
No nerves for these players, but that might start soon, Wolf, as we're getting closer and closer to the finish line. Next track coming up, it's going to be World Tour Boostwood. And here we go on World Tour Boostwood. NEAL leading the pack by a mile right now at 37 points, but that top four hotly contested. Wolf, DDing, Speed, and World all tied for third place with 11. Spell and Perfect right behind him.
DDing here pushing up into first place right now. SUNGBIN with that really unfortunate collision earlier, dropping down massively. We have to keep an eye on how well he does here, because he is going to be the first one that we see eliminated potentially from the contention if things do continue as they are, as NEAL will wrestle back control of first place and also has a nitro advantage, albeit slight. We'll see if he can actually wrestle away that first place again here, as Speed and JiMin are trying, it feels like, to aggressively push him down, and he's going to drop back to fifth.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It's almost like these guys want to play a couple more tracks here and try and gather some more points on the board, as everyone just hungry to get that top three, get those lucrative high-tier points. World right now finishing lap number 2, will be in first place. SUNGBIN, though, closing the distance, man. I mean, if he gets another top 3 right here, he could be back into contention. You know, right now sitting at 8th place with only 5 points. It's not what you want there for SUNGBIN.
Yeah, World really needs a top 3 finish here. He's actually pushed his way into first right now. He's taken some extra wide angles here, but played them aggressively and has avoided a lot of collision to make sure his max speed is not affected. Speaking of, though, he is going to get bumped both by NEAL and the wall there. And now trying to take this aggressive inner as we reach the second lap finish here. World wants that first so badly.
Yeah, he needs it. A lot of these players in the middle of the pack, they won't want this to be neck and neck going into the last couple of tracks. Is World trying to get first place right now as we get closer and closer to that finish line, but NEAL once again in first. Will he be able to get another first place finish here, Wolf? World is just able to pass him.
Looks like World's gonna do it here, just barely.
Woo! Oh my goodness, that was close there. For a moment, I thought NEAL coming in on the inside with that bump behind him might actually take another first place finish,
and
but
World,
no.
He was willing to risk it on that final corner and take the aggressive inner. And if you bump that, not only do you not get first, but you probably drop back to like 5th, 6th, maybe even worse. So he really put it all on the line there, and you can see he's got those laser-focused eyes. It'll be his first win of this one. He's got so many under his belt now. NEAL picks up another second place. So
900ths of a second separating NEAL.
This is probably going to be our last race. If NEAL gets
likely.
top 2, then okay, it sounds crazy to say that, but he's getting top 2 every time. So
he is. It's what, 2 first place? No, 2 or 3 first place finishes, and like 2 second place finishes.
2 sevens. Yeah, they got 30 plus 7 plus 7. That's his 44. If he gets third, then we will go to an extra race, as he'll drop down to 49. But if he gets top 2, 10 or 7 points, it's over there. So for those players on the edge here, 4th and 5th, that difference is qualification to finals or elimination. So we'll have to keep an eye on those players as we move into World Tour Terracotta Twister. Off we go. What could be our final race here if NEAL gets top 2. He has performed so well tonight. Looking at players like Spell right now, DDing, Perfect. They could still qualify, but a lot of things have to go right for them.
Yeah, they got to get some high placements here if they want to do it. And NEAL looks like he's gunning to end this one early here tonight, Wolf. 4th place, but right behind DDing and Speed is just continues to close the distance. His racing has been so insane today, just taking the perfect lines. And, he said coming into this one, he's going to try and play safe. And, it kind of feels like he has been. He's doing these tight inner lines, but he's never at risk. He's never getting bad collisions here. Let's see if that turns. And actually it does. Oh, I jinxed it. NEAL with a bad collision off the wall. Coming in on Terracotta Twister will have him fall all the way into 7th place. The caster curse is real here at the KDL Preseason, but
this is ideal, though, that he falls back like this for a lot of these players who want to have an extra buffer here, because now it seems very unlikely he's going to finish top 2, so we probably have an extra track on our hands. So could breathe a sigh of relief moving to the second lap if you are Speed, if you are Perfect here, going, okay, there's still some extra room to work with right now. World, though, is really trying to push himself up and solidify himself in second place. He and JiMin 20 points behind NEAL, but looking fantastic here on our 6th track.
Yeah, a first place or even a second place finish here for World would probably solidify his spot there in the grand finals. As he really wants to clinch that one out here sooner rather than later. We'll see if he's able to do it right now.
NEAL is closing the gap, by the way. He's insane. He's insane.
How
Here he comes.
He do this?
Here
That
he
collision
comes.
earlier. I mean, it was just insane. Oh, comes in again, hit the same spot. Loses some more momentum. So I do not think a top 2 is in the cards anymore for NEAL, despite that miraculous comeback as World continuing to hold on to this first place position. SUNGBIN right behind him, 500 meters away.
He needs it so badly. He needs a first place so badly. His second is going to be 7 extra points, but he'd love to pick up 10 here. Can he pass? The answer is no. He'll maintain second. World will pick up his second win, move to 31. We will see 7 points awarded to SUNGBIN, but it doesn't feel like it's good enough. He's only going to move up to 12 as the middle of the pack gets more competitive. And with NEAL not breaking into top 2, we will have an additional track here. It's his first time in this group here in this round of 16 match where he will not get top 2. But man, it is tight here in the middle of the pack.
Especially with Ding getting another top 3 right now. He was sitting at 4th place with 16 points, so he was the cutoff, and now he is raising that bar as we look at the standings. 2 points separating him from Speed, so these two neck and neck. But if you're Spell, if you're SUNGBIN, if you're Perfect, you basically need to win this next track or try to find some way. I mean, this is almost out of your hands because it's a solo match, but don't let NEAL close it out, right?
Exactly. I mean, either NEAL has to not close it out, which means he has to, it's still, you know, top 2 because he got a -1 on that last performance. But you also have to then hope for the best, which is that Ding gets bottom 2 and you win. Like, it's chaotic, but seems unlikely, but we have seen miracles happen. Remember Speed's run last time, why he's here today, why he knocked NEAL down. We'll see what happens as we move into Desert Construction Chaos for potentially our last track.
The race to qualify for the grand finals of solo Speed continues on here. JiMin off to an early lead right now in first place. NEAL right behind him, needing a top 2 to close this one out.
NEAL pushing up into the front here, and JiMin has been so consistent throughout this entire round of 16 final match here. He is also keeping this one competitive. Eyes on SUNGBIN here. He needs first. Perfect needs first. Spell, these players are so far behind now, Speed and Ding.
Speed and Ding also neck and neck, keep that in mind. Only 2 points separating them right now from qualification or from going home. So their position here at the end of this race, especially if NEAL is able to maintain this top 2 position, is absolutely critical. Right now, Ding in 6th and JiMin in 7th, right behind them.
Yeah, hey, this is looking, I mean, look at them right now, neck and neck,
Oh,
bumping into each other.
goodness.
This is actually so tragic.
Yeah, it's very tense between these two players right now. Speed needs to close the distance on Ding, and that's one of the reasons why our observer is highlighting this as opposed to following the pack leader as NEAL continues to hold on to first place heading into lap number 2.
If Perfect gets up in here, I mean, Ding also would have to fall back, but anything is possible, right? But because Ding is so close, I think Perfect's chance is still very low here as Ding moving massively ahead of Speed now, who's dropped down into 7th place. And it looks like Ding might just do it. He's up in top 3 here on our final lap.
Yeah,
World also looking to pick up another win.
NEAL falling back into 3rd place. If he gets 3rd place, he will not close this one out. We will go to another track, but it is so close. These players neck and neck, and NEAL actually able to thread the needle there between World. Able to move into 1st place again, heading into the upper section as we start climbing over here.
Okay, right now NEAL in first as we're getting towards the very end of this. Perfect top 3. Ding ahead of Speed, looking like he is in prime position to qualify. If nobody can challenge NEAL, this is going to end it. Perfect dropping back here.
Yeah, disastrous there for Perfect, but the real story right now is NEAL. He might be able to close this one out. Remember, a top 2 finishes it, so it's not just versus whether SUNGBIN's able to pass him, and yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be the last track of the day. NEAL's going to get 1st place yet again here. So many top 2 finishes. SUNGBIN finishing right behind him, as we'll have to see exactly how the standings look, but I think Ding is going to qualify. I think World is going to qualify. NEAL is going to qualify, and if I'm not mistaken, that 4th player is JiMin.
Yeah, JiMin Ding, World, and NEAL as 2 points separated Ding and Speed. But with another win here for Ding, that gap widens additionally by an additional point here. So we do have our final 4 players in the finals. NEAL, JiMin, World, and Ding. Speed, unfortunately, 3 points shy here. Not able to close it out here. SUNGBIN had a great final track, but wasn't good enough. And Spell and Perfect started off our first track so clean, but ultimately they still were our underdogs. And it feels like if you read the list of players down, it's practically a tier list of the players we expected to do well, with the exception of Speed, I think, who underperformed a little bit tonight. But
SUNGBIN as well, I thought, would do a little bit better. Just 7 points away from qualification there. But one of the main underdog stories here is NEAL gives a bow. Fantastic performance from him here today. I mean, not just today, but also his last match. He got 5 first-place finishes, so NEAL is just absolutely feeling it right now. But, I mean, JiMin, the item ace coming through. I mean, he barely even played in speed mode. It was when Seungha got injured that he swapped in for speed mode. He's not really a team speed player. He's an item ace, and he's coming in. He's qualified. He's top 8 here in the solo match, qualified for the grand finals. A tremendous storyline for him. That's got to be feeling really good.
Yeah, I think Ding as well, a player that is the sole representative of Reboot, right? A team that did not perform well in the team league, but a player that, if I had to draft who I thought was going to finals, he would not have been in the list. And I think even after he made it this far, he wouldn't have been in the list. I would have thought Speed or SUNGBIN gets in over him, but not to be the case. He performed well tonight, ties with JiMin to secure that cutoff point. And, I think it's going to be an incredible finals. I'd say that NEAL is one of our big favorites, but there are a lot of strong players in this world. Another one that stands out with his recent performances, but you have to consider the OGs as well.
NEAL as a solo racer just feels so unbeatable in these situations. It is something incredible that we're seeing. I mean, getting 5 first places in the previous round and then coming in here again. I think he got top 2 like almost every single time. It was just absolutely phenomenal stuff from him. 53 points in total. World right behind him there at 31, but that's a 22-point gap. I mean, that's how many points Speed got in total, and he was in 5th place. So NEAL just on another level. You can see why they call him the genius, the only global player here competing in the KDL, just continuing to rack up the points. And coming into today, he had the highest average score, he had the most first place finishes, the highest average rank, and just solidifying that position even further here in the standings is, I mean, I know this isn't what happened because, I mean, he's a competitor, he wants to win, right? But it's kind of a blessing that he didn't go straight to the grand finals, because now he's building up some absolutely insane momentum with all of these wins, all of these top 2s.
The records he's setting, he's had so many more opportunities to do so because of this, because you can't set a record while you're just waiting in the finals. But he also, I think, underperformed a little bit in the team match today. Not like he played terribly or anything like that, but I think he underperformed. I think his head was definitely in the solos today. I think he was super focused on that. It shows. He played extremely well. He raced perfectly practically on a lot of these. Had some incredible comebacks too. So, I mean, this dude's crazy. One of the big favorites to win the tournament at the beginning, and now I think this solidifies it, puts him back in the favorite spot.
Yeah, and I think we have today's match results ready, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that in just a moment here.
Yeah, let's take a reminder of what happened before our solo matches, which was a very close win for Live Sandbox over Aura in the ace match. Aura bringing it there off of item, but it was an incredibly close speed race. Aura's 1 and 2 almost working out for them. Had they won that final track of speed, it would have just been a 2-0, but ultimately Live Sandbox, with that win in the ace match where they trusted Hyunsu, are able to come out on top.
Yeah, we almost went to 15 tracks yet again, which is so rare in Cartwright or esports. Is Aura just put up a great fight there. I gotta say, finishing up the KDL preseason, I think Aura, especially with this win here over Live Sandbox, they are the best item mode team right now in the KDL. Just a little bit of work, a little bit of tighten up that they need to do here in speed. But we've seen that from them over the course of this entire preseason. It's one of the reasons why we have these preseasons here in KDL, because it still is Cartwrighter, but it is a new game. And this is a time where these teams can kind of start fine-tuning, identifying their problems, and improving. Aura, definitely one of those teams that has made leaps and bounds of improvement, particularly in speed.
Absolutely. Now here's, of course, our finals for the postseason. As you know, you mentioned Aura's success, right? But not good enough to make it and qualify. So we will have a rematch of that 15-track match. I mean, what better match could you ask for, right? I mean, Aura fans will be sad, of course, but these are the two historic Kartrider Pro teams that have done so well, and it just feels like it's according to script that they would get this rematch. Now is a chance for revenge with Insu, maybe even being able to play in the ace match and clutch it out this time around. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be close for sure. I don't think it's going to be suddenly one-sided, but we'll see if Sunga and Insu get to have that last dance go all the way. This is, of course, the Sunday finals where we will see the team matchup.
Yeah, Sunday finals will be the team matchup. It would be such a wonderful story for Live Sandbox to be able to finish this season and, really the end of a dynasty on a high note here with Insu and Sungha soon going to the military service. They are going to have to retool and re-kit, getting ready for the next KDL. As now we have our final list for the top 8. These are the players that will be playing this upcoming weekend. Hyunsu, Cool, Insu, Nok, joined now by World, JiMin, Ding, and NEAL.
So Cool and World meeting up in the finals again. You have an entire roster of Live Sandbox in the finals. And of course, Nok and Ding coming in as big underdogs. I'd say that this is really a finals anyone could take. I think Nok looks very on form right now. Ding looked very good today, very consistent. And we'll see, because, usually we talk about who gets to 50 first, where's the cutoff point, etc. But in the finals, it's like you get to 50, it's done, you win. And if NEAL has another performance like the one he had today, it doesn't matter how consistent you are, how much of that pension style we've seen find success. Like, I'm just looking to qualify. I'm just looking to get top 4. You win or you lose in the finals. Like, that's it. There is one winning player.
Yeah, but, I mean, keep in mind that NEAL, before we started the matches today, he was saying that he wants to play safe. And this was him playing safe, getting first place on almost every single track. Just absolutely incredible stuff, as this is truly an all-star lineup, and there's a reason why there are 4 Live Sandbox players right here, including their item ace. I mean, Sungha, maybe if he didn't have that injury earlier in the season, would also be here.
Yeah.
If he had a better performance then, but, health is a concern, so instead it's going to be these 4 guys representing Live Sandbox, half of the grand final roster. Just truly fantastic stuff.
Yeah, Live Sandbox, as mentioned, all their players making it in, and you got World and Cool here. I think half of Kwangdong, in a way, making it here. It's just a story of our 2 best teams. But again, my focus is always going to be on some of the newer stars, right, and Nok and Ding. So very excited for this finals. It will be on Saturday. Our team finals will be on Sunday, so 6 p.m. So same time as usual for Saturday. So make sure you mark your calendar. It is going to be obviously almost a week from now, 6 days away.
And I think we're about ready to send it home, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And it's been a fantastic show. We'll see you guys again next week, same time, same place with the grand finals. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be excellent. See you next time.